So I made a clip about the starter motor wire a little while ago, how if I shorted out the battery to the starter motor wire, so you got this connection here that's going through to into the body. This part here is going down to the starter motor, so you can see there's a single pin there, and I followed that around. It comes around through the bottom there up to here. That's the starter motor wire there. So now I'm going to get inside and I'm going to strip back some harness and find out where this wire goes to, and finally track down the starter motor problem. I've explained it before, I've even made a video about it. When you turn the key and you just hear sometimes nothing, sometimes you hear clicking. Sometimes it can be the actual starter motor is faulty. In my case, it's the solenoid not getting enough power. I ran my own wire to the starter motor, to the solenoid on a push button switch. So when I have that problem, and it only happens in winter with my van, when I have that problem of I turn the key, it doesn't crank, now I just press a button and the van starts. But let's find out where this wire goes, if there is a relay, and where is the relay. Okay, just before I go stripping all this apart and showing you it's a big mess, I figured I better give you a look first, see what I'm going to do here. Get into here, and I've already broken these because obviously don't plan on reusing this, and it was just easier just to break these clips. So I'm going to get there, take the wiring out, possibly untape this, whatever I have to do to find that black wire so I can trace it along here. So this is what I'm looking at the moment. Got some thick wiring down here. I'll probably go to the blower. And there's the thing as well, the starter motor wire that's coming through, that's probably about 20-25 gauge wire, so that's plenty strong enough to supply power to the solenoid. So for the solenoid to be not getting enough power, there is a connection somewhere in the dash here that is causing that problem. I'll get into it, I'll start pulling things apart. I'm only interested in tracing that one wire, so I'm only going to pull apart wherever that wire goes, and we'll see where we end up. Well, the plot thickens, so it looks like that wire comes through to here and then splits off. Why it was joined like this, and I mean, like, if this is original Toyota, this is dodgy as. And same with these earth lines here, I was following that, and this earth line here and this earth line here joining onto this earth line here. When they both come back around here, and this one as well comes back around here, when they both could have just come up and gone straight to earth instead of joining onto an earth wire here. They comes into a single wire and then earths off to there. Why don't they just bring them straight there in the first place? That would have saved them a bit of wiring and would have made a better earth. Anyway, who am I? I'm not an engineer. That just doesn't seem logical to me. Anyhow, so I'm going to strip the wiring under the hood now so I can get the black wire out to make sure that is the one that I'm working on, and not that I've grabbed another one with the same name on it, although it doesn't look like there's any others in here. We just want to be 100% sure that wire I'm following is the right one. So we've got these two black ones here that are a bit thinner, and you got this one here that's coming in and then dividing off into two, and it's the same gauge wire here is there, but then this one's a little bit thinner, so I'll have to see what's going on there, why there's two of them. Okay, so I have learnt that this thicker wire here is going down to this relay here, and this does say on it start a relay, so now I know what to look at on mine. I'm trying to get a bit closer for you. Clearly it says start a relay, so how did I miss that when I made this clip about these relays? Anyway, that's neither here or there now. So we've got this wire here that's going to the solenoid. This wire here is going to the solenoid. So this wire here is a live feed from the battery, and we've still got to find out why the other black line goes across there. What to do now is follow this white trace back under the bonnet, see where it leads to and how it terminates, and possibly a connection that we can clean. Okay, so Unwrapping the white wiring here, I see there's two lines coming down. One's coming down to the starter relay, and the other one's coming over to the blower. So that one line is feeding power for the solenoid and for the blowers. So that'll be an interesting one to follow back when I get to there. So now I'll continue following this one black one and this white one. I'll find out where that leads to. Alright, so coming back to the starter motor relay. So we've got the white feed that's coming in and the black feed going out to the solenoid. We've got an earth wire here, white with black traces, always earth. And then we've got this black with two greys, and that would be going down to the neutral safety switch. That's so the van can only start in park or neutral. So I'm not going to follow that wire there, because that'll just be a big mess. Getting behind here, tracking all the wires through here and coming back up, and what a nightmare that would be to try and trace that. Now we've got 4 white, so we've got this white with blue trace, we've got white only, we've got white with red trace, and a thicker white. So the skinnier white is the one that I need to follow under the hood to find out where that's going. And on the back of the fuse box, we've got the thicker one that's coming to here. That'll be going to the mains relay, so nothing works without that relay. Got a skinny white wire only, same thickness, white wire only, slightly thicker white wire only, and we've got the white with blue trace. I don't have my multimeter here. I actually left it at the other place where I do most of my work, so I'll have to go pick that up to continue this. We'll make this a part 1 video for now, and I'm going to trace under the hood now where that white wire goes. And the black one, I couldn't find that either up here, but I assume it's coming to the fuse box. I'm not finished yet, so we'll see how we go and where we end up. I was going to take this whole part in the middle here out so I can get access to that wiring going behind it better, but it looks like I'm going to have to cut the heater core. That's copper piping that's going right through. There's no connections there that I can undo to take that heater core out. That's what's preventing me from getting this out of the way so I can get better access to those wires. I'll definitely have to come back with a meter to test the lines to find out where they go, because I don't know where it traces to. I can cut a wire here and cut a wire over there and then ohm test it and see how we go. And another little connection I just thought I'd mention. I wouldn't have a clue what this is for. I can't say I've ever seen the workshop mention this. It just comes to a junction here where it basically joins all the wires on this side of it and joins a couple of wires on that side, whatever that connection is meant to be for. I'll leave that one as a mystery. I'm not following that. Okay, so just following this here, we've got 2 lines, AVS3 and the other one is AVS5. If I follow that around to, this is the connection for the ignition, so we've got AVS3 coming over to here. But that's a black wire with red trace, so that's not the wire we need to follow. I thought I was onto something there, but with the light on it I can see that's got a red trace, so that's not what we need to follow. We do have that wire, however, coming up to the fuse box. A black red trace, AVS3. Let's find out what fuse that goes to. And this one comes around to here, which is the second fuse along from the top. You can see that there. Second fuse along from the top is 7.5 amp, and that second wire along is ignition. Okay, it's starting to get a bit dark, and I've been in here a lot longer than what this clip would reveal, but let's go with, we know that, like, I've been pulling everything apart over here trying to track these wires down. Let's just focus on what we know here, and I'll get the wiring diagram from the workshop, and I'll continue footage of that as well and see if we can work all this out. So we know that's an earth, we know that's going down to the neutral safety switch, we know that's coming up from the engine bay, possibly to one of the fuses at the battery, and this here goes to the solenoid. Okay, you can see that white wire is pulled tight there. We definitely know that's the white wire that I'm searching for. and that's this one here. We've got the thick white one, which is your main, and then we've got just your plain white one here. You got blue white trace and white red trace. So I unplugged this connection already to follow it, and when it goes into here, that is this fuse here. So we've got the white, the thicker white, white red trace, white blue trace. That's what's all coming around to these fuses here. So you got your white blue trace main, you got your white, which is AM1, and then you got your thicker one. It says alternator, but that's going to inside. You got your AM2 20 amp here, and the black one's going to ABS. Okay, so on my van, I made this plate here ages ago. I have a clip about that when I was doing testing the relays behind there to find out what they did. Well, basically all I did was cut out a hole, and this cover plate came off an old hot water system that I cut down in size and shaped. And while I'm looking at this section here, before I move that, I've been asked a couple of times about where's the switch for that light there. That's it there. And no, the ignition is not on. This light functions, it has power all the time. So I'm going to take that cover off. Also, just a quick mention, because I'm mentioning this light here, this plate that I made needs to be there, so when the lid closes, that presses. I had forgotten to take this part off the van that I got the switch and light from, so I had to make my own. Okay, well, we'll take that one off. That's definitely genuine Toyota, eh? Okay, so my connection here looks like it could use a bit of a clean. Maybe a bit of a RP7 or something spray in there just to give it a bit of contact. I'm going to put this in. The relay is the same. It does the same job. I have noticed though, when I put my fingers on the back of my harness here, all four of those wires are thinner than the 95 Tarago. Mine's a 92. And the 95 has those nice thick wires behind there for the starter motor. Mine doesn't. So there's possible changing the wiring there between the two different vans. There's three years between them. Alright, so I'm just going to crank my van over with that relay out and see if it makes me a liar. You know, I just realised this is my own fault, because I had a start switch here that I used to press to start the van. I bypassed that and I wired it straight into the ignition. I had forgotten I did that, so when I turn the key, the van starts first time every time and it bypasses this. So I would have to disconnect that to test this, and I honestly don't want to do that. So we'll continue with this. I haven't failed, it's just my own bypass is why I made the mistake here. But even still, I should feel this relay click when I do start the van. That part of the wiring hasn't been removed, I've only just bypassed it. This one here is clicking with the when I turn the ignition. So when I turn the ignition on, that one's the one that's clicking, and another one at the fuse box clicking. Okay, so with the ignition, this relay is ignition is currently on. And this relay here, it should click when I plug it in. See? So that's ignition, and that one's starter. So it's a bit hard to, because the whole van shakes and whatnot when you turn the key. So I'm just going to put my hand on it and see if I can feel it. Yes, most definitely that clicked when I turned the ignition. So now I'll look up some wiring diagrams and see if they correspond with what we learnt today. Okay, I'll just give you a bit of an exploded view there of what the starter motor looks like when it's apart. Sure, somebody out there would be interested in that. We'll go over this wiring diagram. And if anyone's wondering, this program is called On Demand 5. Okay, so let's load this up a bit, and things should make sense now. So we'll start off with the white wire that's coming from the fuse box, coming from here. And you'll notice that it's coming from the fuse box, and where it breaks off in the under the dash there, that it's coming through to where the relay is. We'll come back to that. So that white wire comes directly into the ignition switch, and then from there, when you turn the key to start the van, it comes through here, and then it shows a diagram here of that wire there breaks off into two. So this is for the supercharged, this is for your ordinary. So basically, I don't know why they did this, because basically they both go to the same places, both the same color codes, but anyway. So you come here, and then you come here, and you come here. So this one here, then is this section over here, and this one here to this part here, which then powers up the engine control module and the electronically controlled transmission ECU, which then comes around to here. And this is only when turning the key to the ignition point. This is not the runnings of the car. Then it comes down to here, and it will give power to the cold start solenoid. It will also give power to the start injector time switch. So these two play a part together. Then we're coming down here. The line goes through the neutral safety switch, going through here, energizes the relay. The relay will then close, bring that power line there to the black wire to the solenoid. That energizes the solenoid, and then when the solenoid energizes, it closes this circuit here like a relay would, and then the power would come from the battery to crank over the starter motor. And the reason why this black wire, that separator, remember going underneath the dash, and I was talking about there's the black wire that comes in and then separates. So you've got one that's gone to the relay, and I didn't know where the other one went. The other one comes around, goes to the fuse box, to a 7.5 amp fuse, then comes back out of the fuse box, and it goes underneath the front left seat and tells the transmission ECU that you're starting the van. Now for vans like mine that don't have an anti-theft, this is where it goes. Like mine, and just white with black trace is your earth. It comes to here, and it's just grounded out. That's how mine van runs. If you go to theft deterrent, then you don't have this. You have this, and this here. Once you've unlocked the car, it earths out, and you can start the car with the key. So just go over that again. We'll get all the blues. Love how I can do this. Okay, so you got power coming in. Goes to the ignition switch. Comes past a 7.5 amp fuse. Black wire then break off again. This one's black with white trace. And it will come down this way. This part here, energize cold start injector and the cold start temp sensor. Power will come past the safety neutral switch. So you've got to be in park or neutral. Then it'll come down here, energize that relay, and the relay will then close. Then send power down to the solenoid, power to the transmission ECU, close that circuit, crank over the starter motor. Even though that white wire at that fuse box, I traced it back to under the dash. The diagram here does show that it goes to the alternator fuse, which also plays part in the AM1 fuse. So if this fuse goes out, there's no power on that AM1. Okay, so we'll go over this again one more time, but without making everything blue. So the wire I was tracing from the starter motor was that black wire. That's here. So it came in underneath the dash and it breached off to go to here and to the relay. That's where the other white wire came into effect there. And the other black wire with the two grey tags on it goes to the neutral safety switch like I thought it did, and the other one, like I said, white with black traces, earth. So that's pretty much what I was following to find out what was going on, and that in fact there is a relay that to be looked at, and now I know where it is. Why I couldn't find it on mine when I was going through all those relays is because mine isn't tagged. It's a starter relay, and when I was going through all the different things in my video that was testing those relays, I had the ignition going and everything, and I was trying them all out, and I found that those relays were controlling the blower or the AC on the roof. Might just bring that other video up and just really look at those relays. This one here is EFI, the EFI fuse or electronic fuel injection. This one here, when I looked up the part number, it said it's a headlight relay, but what this switch does is controls the on and off for the center, for that center aircon. So this will control the on and off for that center aircon. Once the aircon's on, this relay down here is for low speed, this relay here is for high speed. And this relay here, I've tried everything, I don't get any readings from it. Okay, well I'm pretty confident we don't need to do multimeter tests and everything on these wires. I might do myself at a later date and take down any information that I feel is worth sharing, but looking at those wiring diagrams, now the understanding of the function of all these relays, my next question would be, how do I get access to any of these relays when it's up behind here and you can't see it? Well, my answer would be, the reason why I just put it back on its mount there, is that you can actually fill up behind there and pull relays out, but it's really hard to get them back in because you've got to go by feel. But you can, if you wiggle, it just slides forward, and then this whole area, this whole box of relays will fall down behind there, and then you can get access to all those relays. The hard part would be not knowing how this is mounted up top there, is to know if you can pull that down or not. You'd be like, how to unbolt this, how to get it down. That's all that is. Slide it forward, and then it'll hang down, and you'll be able to get access to those relays. And then the hardest part will be getting it back up then on that for sure. And a lot of people probably end up just leaving that hanging if they took that off. But hey, if you ever face the problem of starter motor relay failing, just pull off one of those other relays and swap it over to get you out of trouble. They're all the same. They're all the same design relays, so off you go. Okay. Well, this was a long edited video. It's taken me 3 times longer to edit the video than it did to make the video. I found this myself very knowledgeable. Anyone else out there wondering about the wiring and the same deal, I'm sure they'll feel the same. Alright, till next time guys, cheers.